30 minutes into the U.S. trading day already. Bloomberg's Abigail Doolittle is here, and markets not reacting too much. At least stocks are not reacting too much to this third day of shutdown.
You're right about that, Vonnie. We're looking at very small moves for the majors. This is not it, but we do have the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ ever so slightly higher. In fact, putting in new all-time highs. The Dow down very slightly, and despite the third day of being in a government shutdown, investors seeming to not really care. Here we go. Here, these small moves, and yet another round of record highs for both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. Pretty amazing. In fact, David Kudlover at Main State Capital, he is saying that investors are simply desensitized to drama in D.C., but that the conditions for markets are overbought. That may suggest a 5 to 10% pullback is ahead. In fact, if we hop into the Bloomberg and take a look at #BTV 283, this is a longer-term chart of the S&P 500. The last government shutdown, of course, was October 1st through October 17th in 2013. At that time, the S&P 500 did drop about 5% all in. The RSI, or a momentum indicator, had been overbought into that period. At this time, we have the S&P 500 5% above its 50-day moving average, suggesting that the conditions are overbought. And take a look at the RSI, above 80. That tells us another reading being overbought. And Katie Stockton over at BTIG, the head of technical analysis there, she's saying sentiment is overbought. She sees a 5% pullback as well. So it'll be interesting to see what triggers this, but lots of agreement that conditions are overbought. Speaking of buying, Vonnie was talking about deals. We also have some deals in the insurance and reinsurance space. Let's take a look at Validus. This is a reinsurer, and we see shares are up 44% on the news that AIG is buying the company for $5.6 billion in cash, giving a pop to the entire space. AIG, as is typical for the acquirer, down but 1.5%. But the acquisition seems very much in line with the CEO, Brian Duperreault's goal to grow the company through deals. So take a look at that. Again, Validus sharply higher. And then finally, let's take a look at the biotech space, because we do, of course, have BioVeritiv up sharply, up 62%. That is the Biogen spin-out hemophilia drugs being bought by French drug maker Sanofi for $11.6 billion. It is the French drug maker's biggest deal in about 7 years. And then Juno up nearly 27%, as Celgene is buying the company for its blood therapy, its blood cancer therapy treatment, and that is the main reason for that purchase. An all-cash deal of about $87 per share, about $9 billion. And since this deal was first talked about last week, Mark, shares more than up nearly a double. This had been a $44 stock and now an $86 stock. $44 stock last week, $86 stock on this Monday, Mark. Pretty amazing. M&A Monday.
Abigail, thanks.